I was using my best friend's phone to call my mom when I accidentally opened the wrong app and saw a group chat called Operation Emma. My name is Emma. My heart literally stopped when I saw the messages. There were screenshots of my texts, photos of my outfits with laugh-crying emojis, and detailed plans about something called the birthday setup. My 25th birthday was next week. Let me back up. Sarah and I have been best friends since middle school. Like, we've been through everything together. My parents' divorce, her eating disorder, college applications, bad breakups, you name it. She's been my maid of honor at every imaginary wedding I've planned since we were 12. We live in the same apartment complex now, just 2 buildings apart. She has the spare key to my place. I have hers. We do grocery runs together, share Netflix passwords, and text each other about literally everything. She's basically my sister. Which is why seeing that group chat felt like someone had ripped my heart out and stomped on it. The group had 8 people in it. Sarah, obviously, but also Jessica from work, my cousin Mike, Tom from college, and 4 other people I considered close friends. People I'd trusted with my deepest secrets. People I'd cried to about my insecurities and fears. The messages went back months. Screenshots of conversations where I'd opened up about feeling ugly or stupid. Photos of me at parties with comments like, "She has no idea how ridiculous she looks." Detailed discussions about my dating life, my job performance, even my family drama. But the worst part was the recent planning. They were organizing some kind of elaborate prank for my birthday party. Something about finally putting Emma in her place and teaching her a lesson about being so naive. I sat in Sarah's bathroom holding her phone with shaking hands, scrolling through months of betrayal. My best friend, the person I trusted most in the world, had been leading a secret campaign to mock and humiliate me. There was a message from just yesterday. "Emma still has no clue, LOL. She actually asked if I thought her new dress was pretty. I said yes, but told you guys it makes her look like a sausage. The party is gonna be legendary." I took screenshots of everything. Every single message, every photo, every cruel comment. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone steady. Then I heard Sarah's voice from the kitchen. "Emma, did you reach your mom? I'm making coffee if you want some." I had to act normal. I cleared my throat and called back, "Yeah, all good. Coffee sounds great." But inside, I was falling apart. How long had this been going on? How many other people knew? Were they all laughing at me behind my back every time we hung out? When I walked back to the kitchen, Sarah was humming and making coffee like nothing had happened. She looked so normal, so innocent. The same girl who'd held my hair back when I was sick, who'd driven me to the hospital when I had that panic attack, who'd helped me move into my apartment. "You okay?" she asked, looking at me with what I now realized was fake concern. "You look pale." I managed to smile. "Just tired. Work's been crazy." She nodded sympathetically. "I know, babe. That's why your birthday party is gonna be so fun. You deserve to relax and have a good time." The audacity. She was planning to humiliate me and calling it a birthday party. I wanted to scream, to confront her right there, but something stopped me. Maybe it was self-preservation. Maybe it was curiosity about how deep this went. I spent the rest of the week pretending everything was normal while secretly investigating. I checked social media, looked through old photos, analyzed every interaction with the people in that group chat. Signs I'd missed started becoming obvious. The way Jessica would smirk when I talked about my work presentations, how Tom always seemed to know things I'd only told Sarah, the way conversations would sometimes stop when I walked into rooms. I felt like an idiot. All this time, I'd thought I had genuine friendships, but I was apparently just entertainment for them, the naive girl they could manipulate and mock. By Friday, I decided I wasn't going to let them humiliate me at my own birthday party, but I also wasn't going to just cancel it and let them know I'd found out. I was going to turn their own plan against them. I spent the weekend planning. If they wanted to put on a show, I'd give them one they'd never forget. I started by creating my own group chat, but instead of including the people who'd betrayed me, I added my real friends. People from my old job, college friends who'd moved away, my neighbor who'd become a good friend, people who actually cared about me. I told them everything, sent them screenshots of the Operation Emma chat, explained what I suspected was going to happen at my birthday party, and asked for their help. Their responses were everything I needed: outrage, support, and offers to help me get revenge. My college friend Rachel even offered to drive 3 hours to be there. "Nobody messes with my girl," she texted. Let me tell you about the screenshots I'd taken. The messages went back 6 months. 6 months of my so-called friends treating me like a joke. There were photos of me from Sarah's Halloween party where I'd worn a homemade costume. I was proud of it. It was cute and creative, but the group chat was full of messages like, "Emma looks like she raided a thrift store," and "someone should tell her that DIY doesn't always work." There were screenshots of private conversations I'd had with Sarah about my insecurities, times when I'd confided in her about feeling lonely or worried about my job performance. She'd shared all of it with the group, adding her own commentary about how dramatic and needy I was. The worst ones were about my dating life. Remember how I mentioned bad breakups? Well, apparently every detail I'd shared with Sarah about my relationship problems had been entertainment for the group. They'd placed bets on how long my relationships would last. They'd made jokes about my exes and analyzed why guys kept leaving me. One message from Jessica said, "Emma asked me if I thought she came on too strong with that guy from marketing. I told her no, but honestly she's so desperate it's painful to watch." Another from Tom. "She still hasn't figured out that nobody actually likes her quirky personality. We just tolerate it because Sarah keeps her around." But the birthday party planning was the most elaborate thing they'd ever done. They'd been coordinating for weeks. The plan was to have me give a a speech about friendship and gratitude. Then Sarah would surprise me by reading some of my most embarrassing messages out loud. They'd prepared a slideshow of my worst photos and moments. The final message in the planning thread was from Sarah. "This is gonna be the best reality check Emma's ever gotten. Maybe she'll finally realize she's not as special as she thinks she is." Monday morning, I acted completely normal with Sarah. I even asked her about last-minute party details, playing the excited birthday girl perfectly. "Oh, it's going to be amazing," she said, her eyes lighting up in a way that now seemed sinister. "I've got so many surprises planned." "I bet you do," I thought, but smiled and said, "I can't wait. You always throw the best parties." That afternoon, I got a text in the Operation Emma group. Sarah had added me to it by mistake, then immediately removed me, but I'd seen the message. "Everything's set for Saturday. She has no idea what's coming." The accidental ad confirmed what I'd suspected. They were getting sloppy, probably because they were so confident I'd never find out. They'd been doing this for so long that they'd gotten careless. I screenshotted that too, then sat in my apartment planning their downfall. Let me tell you about my real friends' reactions when I showed them everything. Rachel was furious. She'd never liked Sarah and had warned me years ago that she seemed fake. "I knew something was off about her," she texted, "the way she always had to be the center of attention, even at your events." My old coworker Mark was disgusted. "This is psychological abuse," he said. "They've been gaslighting you for months, making you think you're crazy for sensing something was wrong." My neighbor Kelly offered to help with anything I needed. "I've seen how they treat you," she said, "always talking over you, dismissing your ideas. I thought it was just group dynamics, but this is deliberate cruelty." They all wanted to know what I was planning to do. I told them I wasn't sure yet, but I wasn't going to let them humiliate me without consequences. Tuesday, I started phase 1 of my plan. I casually mentioned to Sarah that I'd invited a few extra people to the party. "Just some old friends who happened to be in town," I said innocently. She looked surprised, maybe even panicked for a second. "Oh, how many extra people?" "Just 5 or 6. That's okay, right? There's plenty of space." She forced a smile. "Of course, the more the merrier." I could see her mind working, probably trying to figure out how to adjust their plan with extra witnesses around. Good. Let them scramble. That evening, I did more digging. I went through old photos on social media looking for patterns. Sure enough, in group photos, there were always subtle signs. The way they'd position themselves so I was slightly out of frame, the way they'd make faces behind my back, the way they'd coordinate their outfits while leaving me out. I found a video from Sarah's birthday party last year. I'd helped plan and pay for it, spent hours decorating and cooking. In the video, you could hear Sarah in the background saying to someone, "Emma's trying so hard to be helpful, it's almost sad." At the time, I thought I'd misheard. Now I knew better. Wednesday, I implemented phase 2. I started acting slightly different around each member of the group. Nothing dramatic, just small changes that would make them think I was starting to catch on. With Jessica, I made a comment about how some people at work seemed two-faced. With Tom, I mentioned how I'd been thinking about who my real friends were. With my cousin Mike, I said I was disappointed in family members who didn't have my back. I watched their faces carefully. The guilt was obvious once I knew what to look for. They'd all look away, change the subject, or get defensive. Jessica actually got defensive when I made the two-faced comment. "What do you mean by that?" she asked, her voice sharp. "Oh, nothing specific," I said innocently. "Just something I've been thinking about lately." She studied my face for a long moment, then changed the subject to weekend plans, but I could tell she was rattled. Tom's reaction was different. When I mentioned thinking about real friends, he got overly reassuring. "You know we all care about you, right, Emma? We're your real friends." The overcompensation was obvious. He was trying too hard to seem sincere. My cousin Mike was the worst. When I said I was disappointed in family members, he actually laughed nervously. "Come on, Emma, don't be so dramatic. Family's family." Dramatic. That word again. The same word they'd used in the group chat to describe me. Thursday, I could tell they were getting nervous. Sarah kept asking if I was okay, if anything was wrong. The group chat was probably buzzing with concern about whether I was catching on. I decided to test them. I mentioned to Sarah that I'd been having weird dreams about people talking about me behind my back. "That's so weird," she said, but her voice was tight. "Why would you dream about that?" "I don't know," I said. "Maybe it's just anxiety about the party. You know how I get nervous about being the center of attention." She relaxed slightly. "Yeah, that's probably it. Don't worry, everyone loves you." Everyone loves you. If only she knew that I'd read exactly what everyone really thought about me. Friday night, Sarah came over with wine and Chinese takeout. "Pre-birthday celebration," she said, but I could tell she was fishing for information. "I'm so excited for tomorrow," I said, playing up the enthusiasm. "I have a feeling it's going to be a night I'll never forget." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "It definitely will be." We ate dinner and watched movies, just like we had hundreds of times before. But now I knew she was studying me, looking for signs that I'd discovered their plan. I gave her nothing. During the movie, she kept checking her phone, probably coordinating with the others, making sure everything was ready for my public humiliation. "Who are you texting?" I asked casually. "Just work stuff," she lied smoothly. "You know how it is." I knew exactly how it was. She was texting the group chat, probably confirming final details about tomorrow's surprise. Saturday morning, I woke up with a mixture of nerves and anticipation. Today was the day I'd find out what they'd been planning. And more importantly, today was the day I'd show them exactly what happened when you underestimated Emma. I spent the morning setting up my own surprises, hidden cameras, backup plans, and making sure my real friends knew exactly what to do when the moment came. I'd rented a small recording device that I could hide in my purse. I wanted to capture everything they said and did. Evidence for later. My real friends started arriving at my apartment around noon. Rachel had driven 3 hours as promised. Mark brought his girlfriend, who was a social media manager and knew how to handle online drama. Kelly brought her brother, who was a lawyer and could advise me on any legal issues. We went over the plan one more time. They would attend the party as my guests, but they'd be ready to step in the moment things went wrong. They'd also be recording everything from different angles. Are you sure you want to do this? Rachel asked. We could just not go and let them wonder what happened. No, I said firmly. They've been planning this for weeks. They want to humiliate me in front of everyone. I want to see exactly what they had planned before I turn it back on them. The party was scheduled to start at 7 p.m. At 6:30, I put on the dress Sarah had made fun of in the group chat, the one she'd called sausage-like. I looked at myself in the mirror and smiled. By the end of the night, she'd know exactly who the real sausage was. When I arrived at the venue, everything looked normal. Balloons, decorations, a table for gifts. Sarah and the others were already there, acting like the loving friends they'd pretended to be for months. Happy birthday, beautiful, Sarah said, hugging me tight. Ready for your surprise? I hugged her back just as tight. I can't wait to see what you've planned. The first hour went normally. People arrived, we ate, we laughed. The members of Operation Emma were being extra nice, which should have been my first clue about what was coming. My real friends mingled naturally, but I could see them positioning themselves strategically around the room. They were ready. Then Sarah clinked her glass and called for attention. Everyone, I want to make a toast to Emma on her special day. This was it, the moment they'd been planning for months. I smiled and prepared to be humiliated, but I had a few surprises of my own ready to go. Sarah stood up, raising her wine glass. Emma has been my best friend for over 10 years, she began, her voice carrying across the room. We've been through so much together, and I wanted to share some of my favorite memories with everyone. My stomach dropped. This was it, the moment they'd been planning. She pulled out her phone and connected it to the portable speaker. I've put together a little slideshow of our friendship over the years. The first few photos were normal. Pictures of us in high school, college graduation, random hangouts. I started to relax slightly. Maybe I'd been wrong about what they were planning. Then the photos changed. There was the Halloween costume picture, but zoomed in on my face with the caption, DIY disaster. The room was quiet. A few people laughed uncomfortably. Next was a photo from my last birthday where I was mid-bite of cake, looking completely unflattering. The caption read, Emma's elegant dining style. My face burned with embarrassment. People were starting to murmur. Some looked uncomfortable. Others were trying not to laugh, but Sarah wasn't done. She pulled out a printed sheet of paper. And now I want to share some of Emma's most honest moments, things she's shared with me over the years that really show who she is. She started reading my private messages, things I'd told her in confidence about feeling insecure, about my dating struggles, about my fears and anxieties. Emma once texted me, I feel like nobody really likes me, like I'm just tolerated in groups. Well, Emma, sometimes we need to hear hard truths. The room was dead silent now. I could feel everyone's eyes on me. Some people looked shocked. Others looked away uncomfortably. Jessica was smirking. Tom was recording on his phone. My cousin Mike was actually laughing. Sarah continued reading more of my private messages, each one more humiliating than the last. She was enjoying this. The room was getting more uncomfortable by the second. That's when I heard a voice from the back of the room. Excuse me, but what the hell is this? It was Rachel. She'd stood up and was walking toward the front of the room. Mark, Kelly, and the others were right behind her. Sarah, right? Rachel continued, her voice getting louder. I'm Rachel, Emma's college friend. And I have to say, this is the most disgusting display I've ever seen. Sarah looked confused. I'm sorry, who are you? I'm someone who actually cares about Emma, Rachel said. Unlike you and your little group of bullies. She pulled out her phone. See, Emma showed me something interesting this week. A group chat called Operation Emma, where you've all been planning this humiliation for months. The room erupted. People started talking all at once. Sarah went pale. Emma has screenshots of everything, Rachel continued. Every cruel comment, every plan to embarrass her, every lie you've told. 6 months of psychological abuse. Mark stepped forward. What you've done isn't just mean. It's systematic harassment. Emma trusted you, and you've been weaponizing that trust to hurt her. Kelly was already pulling out her phone. I'm recording this. Emma wanted everyone to see what kind of person you really are, Sarah. The people at the party were looking between Sarah and me, confused and shocked. The normal party guests who hadn't been part of the group chat looked horrified. Sarah was panicking now. Emma, I can explain. It wasn't meant to be cruel. We were just having fun. I finally stood up. My voice was shaking, but I was determined to say my piece. Fun? I said. You call 6 months of mocking me behind my back fun? You call sharing my private messages fun? You call planning to humiliate me at my own birthday party fun? I pulled out my phone and opened the screenshots. Should I read some of your messages, Sarah? Like the one where you said I was so desperate it's painful to watch? Or the one where you said I needed a reality check about not being special? The room was completely silent now. People were staring at Sarah with disgust. Or maybe I should share the message where you said this party would be legendary because I would finally realize nobody actually likes me? Sarah was crying now. Emma, please, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. You didn't mean it. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You organized 8 people to mock me for months. You planned this elaborate humiliation. You shared my most private thoughts with people who were supposed to be my friends. Jessica tried to interrupt. Emma, you're being dramatic. It was just jokes. Rachel whirled on her. Jokes? You placed bets on how long her relationship relationships would last. You made fun of her appearance, her personality, her job performance. That's not jokes, that's bullying. One of the normal party guests, someone I barely knew, spoke up. This is horrible. I can't believe you people would do this to someone. Others started nodding in agreement. The tide was turning completely. Tom, who had been recording, suddenly put his phone away. Emma, I think there's been a misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding, said Kelly, is that you thought you could get away with this. Mark pulled out his phone. I'm a social media manager, and I've been recording everything that's happened here tonight. The slideshow, the private messages, all of it. Sarah looked terrified. You can't post that online. Watch me, Mark said. Emma deserves to have people know what kind of friends she's been surrounded by. The normal party guests were starting to leave. They looked disgusted and uncomfortable. One older woman, someone from my work, came up to me. Emma, I'm so sorry this happened to you. What they did was awful. Others started coming up to me, offering support and apologies for witnessing something so cruel. Meanwhile, Sarah and the group chat members were huddled together, whispering frantically. They knew they were in trouble. My cousin Mike tried to approach me. Emma, come on. We're family. This is getting out of hand. Family doesn't do this to each other, I said firmly. You participated in mocking me for months. You thought it was funny to watch me be humiliated. I was just following along. I didn't think it would go this far. It went this far because you all thought I was too stupid to figure it out, I said. You thought I was pathetic enough that you could get away with treating me like entertainment. Rachel was still recording everything. Emma, do you want to tell everyone what the original plan was for tonight? I nodded. They were going to have me give a speech about friendship and gratitude. Then Sarah was going to surprise me by reading my most embarrassing messages out loud and showing unflattering photos. They wanted to break me down in front of everyone. The few remaining guests looked appalled. One of them actually told Sarah she was disgusting and left immediately. The worst part, I continued, is that I trusted these people. I confided in them about my insecurities, my fears, my struggles, and they used all of that against me. Sarah was sobbing now. Emma, please, I'm sorry. I'll do anything to make this right. You can't make this right, I said. You can't take back 6 months of betrayal. You can't take back the fact that you were planning to humiliate me at my own birthday party. Jessica was getting angry now. Emma, you're being vindictive. We said we're sorry. Vindictive? Rachel laughed. You spent months planning to destroy her self-esteem and we're vindictive for exposing you? Kelly stepped forward. I'm a lawyer, and what you've done could constitute harassment. Emma would have grounds for a civil case. That got their attention. The group chat members looked scared now. We have all the evidence, Mark added. Screenshots, recordings, witnesses. If this goes viral, and it will, everyone will know exactly what kind of people you are. Tom was backing toward the door. I think I should leave. Running away? I called after him, just like you always do when things get uncomfortable. He stopped and turned around. Emma, I'm sorry, I really am. I got caught up in the group dynamic. You got caught up in bullying someone who trusted you, I said. Don't make excuses. The party venue was nearly empty now. Just me, my real friends, and the people from the group chat who were too ashamed to leave. Sarah made one last attempt. Emma, we've been friends for 10 years. Doesn't that mean anything? I looked at her for a long moment. It means that your betrayal hurts even more. 10 years of friendship, and you threw it away to mock me with people who never cared about me anyway. I do care about you, she said weakly. No, you don't, I said. People who care about you don't share your private messages. They don't mock your appearance. They don't plan to humiliate you at your birthday party. Rachel was gathering her things. Emma, we should go. You don't need to be around these people anymore. I nodded. You're right. As we headed toward the door, I turned back one last time. Sarah, I want you to know that I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, but because I'm not going to let your cruelty poison my life anymore. But I also want you to know that our friendship is over. After tonight, I never want to see you again. She started crying harder. Please don't say that. I'm saying it, I said firmly. You made your choice when you decided to betray me. Now you have to live with the consequences. As we left the venue, I felt lighter than I had in months. The weight of fake friendships was finally off my shoulders. Rachel put her arm around me. I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. I couldn't have done it without you guys, I said. Thank you for being real friends. Mark was already editing the video on his phone. This is going to go viral, he said. People need to see what workplace bullying looks like. Are you okay with that? Kelly asked me. Once it's online, there's no taking it back. I thought about it for a moment. Yeah, I'm okay with it. Maybe it'll help someone else who's going through the same thing. As we walked to our cars, I could hear Sarah and the others still inside, probably trying to figure out how to do damage control, but it was too late for that. The damage was done, and they had done it to themselves. The next morning, I woke up to hundreds of notifications on my phone. The video had indeed gone viral. Comments were pouring in from people sharing their own stories of fake friends and workplace bullying. This happened to me too, one person wrote. Thank you for showing me I wasn't alone. You're so brave for standing up to them, wrote another. I hope you find better friends. But the most satisfying notifications were about Sarah and the others. People had figured out who they were from the video and were calling them out on their social media accounts. Jessica had already deactivated her Instagram. Tom had posted a weak apology that was being torn apart in the comments. My cousin Mike was getting dragged by our extended family members who had seen the video. Sarah tried to post her own apology, but it was too little, too late. The damage to her reputation was done. Over the next week, the consequences kept coming. Jessica was called into HR at work after multiple people complained about her behavior. Tom lost several freelance clients who didn't want to be associated with a bully. Sarah was asked to leave her book club and her yoga class. My cousin Mike was facing the worst of it. Our family was furious with him. My aunt called me crying, apologizing apologizing for her son's behavior. Family dinners were going to be awkward for a long time. But the best part was the support I was getting. Real friends came out of the woodwork. People I hadn't talked to in years reached out to tell me they were proud of me for standing up to bullies. My coworkers were amazing. They rallied around me and made sure I felt supported at work. My boss even asked if I needed to take any time off to deal with the situation. A month later, I was thriving. I'd found a new friend group through a hobby class I'd joined. I was excelling at work without Jessica's constant undermining. I'd started dating someone new who actually appreciated my quirky personality. Meanwhile, Sarah was still dealing with the fallout. She'd lost most of her friends and was having a hard time at work. She tried to reach out to me several times, but I never responded. Some people thought I was being too harsh, but I didn't care. What she and the others had done was calculated and cruel. They deserved to face the consequences of their actions. The viral video had over 2 million views and thousands of comments. It had become a case study in how not to treat people and the power of standing up for yourself. But the consequences for my fake friends were far from over. Word spread quickly through our small town. Sarah's parents found out about the video and were horrified. They'd always liked me and had no idea their daughter was capable of such cruelty. Sarah's mom called me personally to apologize. "I'm so ashamed," she said through tears. "I thought I raised her better than this. What she did to you was unforgivable." I felt bad for her parents. They were good people who didn't deserve to be embarrassed by their daughter's behavior. Jessica faced the worst consequences at work. Our company had a strict anti-bullying policy, and the HR department didn't take kindly to employees who harassed their coworkers. She was fired within a week of the video going viral. Her termination letter specifically mentioned conduct detrimental to company culture and values. The irony wasn't lost on me. She'd spent months undermining my confidence at work, and now she was the one without a job. Tom's freelance clients started dropping him one by one. His business was built on trust and personal relationships, and the video showed he couldn't be trusted with either. His income dried up almost overnight. My cousin Mike faced the harshest judgment from our family. At the next family gathering, he was basically shunned. My grandmother, who'd always been his favorite, told him she was disappointed in the man he'd become. "Emma has always been such a sweet girl," she said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "How could you participate in hurting her like that?" Mike tried to apologize to me at the gathering, but I wasn't interested. "Actions have consequences," I told him. "You made your choice." The other members of the group chat faced their own problems. Social media can be unforgiving, and people in our town recognized them from the video. They became local pariahs almost overnight. But Sarah had it the worst. She'd been the ringleader, the one who'd orchestrated the whole thing. The video clearly showed her enjoying my humiliation, and people didn't forget that. She lost friends, got kicked out of her volunteer groups, and even had trouble dating. Guys in our town knew who she was and what she'd done. Word gets around in small places. 3 months after the party, I heard through the grapevine that Sarah was seeing a therapist. Part of me hoped she was getting help, but mostly I didn't care. She'd made her bed, and now she had to lie in it. Meanwhile, my life was getting better every day. The support from strangers on the internet was overwhelming. I got messages from people all over the world sharing their own stories of fake friends and workplace bullying. One message particularly stuck with me. It was from a teenage girl who wrote, "Thank you for showing me that I don't have to accept people treating me badly. I'm going to stand up for myself now." That made all the pain worth it. If my story could help other people recognize toxic relationships and find the courage to walk away, then something good had come from all the hurt. I also started getting opportunities I never expected. A local news station wanted to interview me about bullying in adult friendships. A women's group asked me to speak at their monthly meeting. A podcast about workplace harassment wanted me as a guest. At first, I was hesitant. I didn't want to be known as the girl who got bullied, but then I realized I could use my experience to help others. I could show people that it was possible to stand up to bullies and come out stronger. The speaking engagements led to other opportunities. I was offered a better job at a company that valued my communication skills. I met new people who became genuine friends. I even started dating someone I met at one of my speaking events. His name was David, and he was nothing like the guys I'd dated before. He was kind, supportive, and genuinely interested in what I had to say. When I told him about the group chat and everything that had happened, he was appalled. "I can't believe people would do that to someone," he said. "You deserve so much better." He was right. I did deserve better. I deserved friends who celebrated my successes instead of mocking them. I deserved people who supported me instead of undermining me. I deserved to be treated with respect and kindness. 6 months later, I ran into Sarah at a coffee shop. She looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes, weight loss, just generally defeated. She tried to talk to me, but I politely declined. "I meant what I said that night," I told her. "We're done." She nodded sadly and walked away. I felt a moment of sympathy for her, but then I remembered all the nights I'd cried because of what she and the others had done to me. A year after the viral video, I was living my best life. I had a job I loved, friends who actually cared about me, and a boyfriend who thought I was amazing just as I was. I moved to a bigger city where nobody knew my story. I could start fresh, but I carried the lessons I'd learned with me. I was more careful about who I trusted, but I wasn't closed off to new relationships. The video was still online, still getting comments and shares. Sometimes I'd read through them, amazed by how many people had similar experiences. It made me realize that what happened to me wasn't unique. Fake friends and workplace bullies exist everywhere, but so do real friends. So do supportive colleagues. So do people who will stand up for you when you're being treated badly. I found found my people, and they found me. Rachel, Mark, Kelly, and the others who'd supported me through everything remained close friends. We'd been through something intense together, and it had bonded us. David and I got engaged on the 1-year anniversary of the birthday party disaster. He proposed with a ring that was nothing like the fake jewelry Tom had mentioned in the group chat. It was simple, beautiful, and chosen specifically for me. "I love your quirky personality," he said when he proposed. "I love everything about you." Those words meant everything to me. After years of being told I was too dramatic, too needy, too much, I'd found someone who appreciated me exactly as I was. The engagement party was small and intimate, just real friends and family members who'd supported me through everything. Sarah and the others weren't invited, obviously. They were part of my past, not my future. My cousin Mike had tried to reach out several times over the year, but I'd ignored his messages. Some relationships can't be repaired, and ours was one of them. At the engagement party, my grandmother made a toast. "Emma has shown us all what it means to have courage," she said. "She stood up for herself when it mattered most, and look how far she's come." People often ask me if I regret exposing them so publicly. My answer is always no. What they did was wrong, and they needed to face real consequences. If public humiliation was what it took to make them understand the pain they'd caused, then so be it. I learned that sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who hurt you the most. But I also learned that standing up for yourself, even when it's scary, is always worth it. My real friends stuck by me through everything. They showed me what genuine friendship looks like. They supported me without expecting anything in return. They celebrated my successes and helped me through my struggles. That's what real friendship is. Not the fake, performative loyalty that Sarah and the others had shown me, but genuine care and respect. Today, I'm happier than I've ever been. I have friends who actually like me for who I am. I'm married to someone who thinks my quirks are endearing, not embarrassing. I'm succeeding at work because I'm no longer being undermined by people I trusted. The viral video still gets comments occasionally, people sharing their own stories of betrayal and bullying. Many of them thank me for showing them that they weren't alone and that it was possible to stand up to people who treated them badly. That makes everything worth it. If my story helps even one person recognize toxic friendships and find the courage to walk away, then the pain and embarrassment were worth it. I still do speaking engagements about bullying and toxic relationships. It's become a passion of mine, helping others recognize the warning signs and find the strength to walk away. Sarah and the others taught me an important lesson. Not everyone who calls themselves your friend actually is one. Real friends don't mock you behind your back. They don't share your private messages. They don't plan to humiliate you at your birthday party. Real friends support you, defend you, and celebrate you. They're there when you need them, and they respect your boundaries and your trust. I'm grateful that I discovered the truth about my fake friends before I wasted any more time on them. It hurt, but it led me to better relationships and a better life. And sometimes that's exactly what we need. A painful wake-up call that forces us to demand better for ourselves. The group chat was called Operation Emma, but in the end, I was the one who succeeded. I exposed their cruelty, found real friends, and built a life I actually loved. That's the best revenge of all. 2 years later, I heard that Sarah had moved to another state. She couldn't rebuild her reputation in our town, so she decided to start over somewhere else. I hoped she'd learned from what happened and would treat people better in the future. But honestly, I didn't think about her much anymore. She was part of a chapter in my life that was closed. I'd moved on to bigger and better things. The viral video had over 5 million views now. It had been featured on news programs and used in psychology classes as an example of social dynamics and bullying behavior. Sometimes I couldn't believe that my worst moment had turned into something that helped so many people. But that's how life works sometimes. Your biggest challenges can become your greatest strengths. I kept all the screenshots from the original group chat, not because I wanted to dwell on the past, but because they reminded me of how far I'd come. They were proof that I'd survived something that could have destroyed me. Instead, it made me stronger. It taught me to value myself and demand better treatment from others. It showed me what real friendship looked like and helped me find people who truly cared about me. My story became a cautionary tale about the power of social media and the importance of treating people with kindness. But for me, it was simply the story of how I learned to stand up for myself and found happiness in the process. The group chat was called Operation Emma, and in the end, the operation was a complete success. Just not in the way they'd planned.